Many people struggle as they grow older to monetize skills. Like now imagine it's raining so much here in Kisii. Kuna watu wakuna mashamba wajapanda miti. If you plant trees, people plant trees in other places, they water the trees. Here in Kisii, you don't need to water. Plant the trees. Leave the trees. After some time, you sell the trees and you get so much money. You have a shamba back in the village. It's raining. Have you planted any tree? Have you even planted a fruit tree? Because a lot of avocados from Kenya, they are being sold, exported to other countries. In Nairobi, let me tell you, a decent avocado, you get it for 80 shillings, 100. When I was in town on Sunday, I was buying avocados for 40 bob and I was buying so many. My brother said, they are so expensive. You're buying that avocado for 40 shillings. I said, but I buy them for 80 bob in Nairobi. So me, I'm finding it so cheap. Then my brother says, no, amekuona na gari, ameongeza 10 bob. Hizi avocado ni 30 bob. I said, no, these avocados are so cheap. We buy for 80 bob, 100. Na hapa ni 40 bob. Are you planting something when it's raining like this? Or are we just staying and we are saying, oh, as a family, we don't have resources? I've seen a lot of idleness among the young people. They are so idle. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. A lot of young people go to campus, universities. They are so busy. There's so much sexual activity happening. And a lot of the young people's sexual activity, they're just popping the emergency contraceptives. They're just popping pills. They're popping pills there. When I was living in Ongata Rongai, there are about 4 universities there. There's Multimedia, there's African Nazarene, which other one? There were about 4 universities around there. Catholic, there's JQuat, there's Cooperative, a lot of universities. So one time I wanted to do a study, just my own research. I stood at a chemist. Many of them live within Rongai. Nimesimama tu kwa chemist Friday evening. I cannot tell you how many young men were coming to buy emergency contraceptives. Young men, sio girls, they were buying for their girlfriends. So wanakuja wananunua emergency contraceptive, ipil for the weekend, for the girls. They are no longer worried about HIV and other diseases. I told you now Kisii is leading with cervical cancer. You know that? Kisii is leading. Kisii is one of the leading counties with cervical cancer. Cervical cancer, some of the factors, early sexual activity, multiple sexual partners. So girls having multiple sexual partners or men having multiple sexual partners. Transmission of cervical cancer is so high and then detection is late. So by the time the women are going to be detected, it's late, stage 4. When nothing much can be done. Because people are free, they are idle, there's a lot of food and they have a lot of energy, a lot of sexual activity. So if these young men who are buying emergency contraceptives using the parents' money, how painful is that? In fact, nowadays when people talk about emergency contraceptive, they call it githeri. Githeri is a staple meal in places like Central. Like in Central Kenya, in every home there's always githeri every day. Just like Kisii, there's ugali daily. I've been eating ugali every day. In Kisii, ugali daily. So among the people in Central Kenya, githeri daily. So the girls wanna pop emergency contraceptives like githeri. And yet these are emergency contraceptives with very high hormone levels. They were meant to only be taken as emergency, maybe once a year. But now they are taking like every other day, they are taking emergency contraceptives. They end up getting reproductive health cancers. They get married at a time they need to get children. They cannot get children. I observed like about 10 weddings that were done within my circle that I know. I witnessed about 10 weddings. Out of those 10 weddings, 8 of them struggled to get a child. 8 out of 10. That's not normal. That's not normal. What is normal is out of 10, maybe 1 or 2 struggle to get a child. Most people would get a child effortlessly. I'm not saying that everybody struggling to get a child is because of that, but I'm saying there's a problem. Whatever problem that is, from whichever end, you cannot have 10 young couples and 8 are struggling to get a child. There's a big fundamental issue there. So because also idleness is one thing. Because the moment somebody is idle, instead of working and exercising their mind, and sometimes, you can try something, you may not make the money, but the person you're becoming. You become a better person because you learn, you fail, you learn, you fail, you learn, so that later on, people can think about how to engage their minds, engage their body, and get busy. Not to use parents' money. Parents who are struggling, towards retirement, then their money is being used to buy condoms, at least a few buy condoms, to buy emergency contraceptives. Parents' money being used for abortions, imagine. It's very sad and very disturbing. And sometimes unaangalia unasema, where do these children come from? They come from our houses. You see, they come from our homes. And you are looking, you think the child is a child, but they go and completely they are something, they are somebody else. We need to begin holding them accountable. I want to pause a little bit here. I said I will give a bit of time today, being our last presentation, for any questions, any comments. You can even write if you want to. Yeah, then we can, before I can proceed any further. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Overeating is a sin.
Sorry?
Overeating is a sin, they say.
What?
Overeating. So
gluttony is as a sin of drunkenness.
Yeah, overeating is a sin. There's somewhere you mentioned about diet. Na kuna mtu ulisaidia kwamba alikuwa na tumbo kubwa. Then he stopped taking supper. Finally, akakuwa sawa. My question now comes, when I was young, there was no breakfast and lunch. But when it comes supper, hao jamaa walikuwa wanapika ugali kubwa. Then tunararua, tunalala na hatukuwa tunaota. Nini ilikuwa ina happen? But nowadays, you take breakfast, lunch, na supper, most supper, na unapata unaanza kuotaota vile ulisema kwamba mtu anaota kwamba anakula nyama. Mwingine ndio huyo ati yako kwa matanga. Lakini kitambo ukikula chakula mingi supper, sababu huku kula breakfast, lunch, then usiku ukikula mingi, sidhani kama ilikuanga obvious. What happened hapo kitambo?
Also, Pia, I think you have partly answered the question. You have not eaten for morning, so you are basically fasting. So by the time you are eating, you are so hungry, you need the food. And also, I believe, hukuwa unaketi, you are working throughout the day. So by the time you are eating, your body needs that food and it uses the food. So when you have been fasting for long, you can eat in the evening. And then another thing, I believe pia hukuwa unakula late. Because especially kama hakuna stima, pengine hukuwa unakaa mpaka saa 4, saa 5, saa 6 hapo. So it depends on the time you are eating also, not late. Then by the time you are eating, your stomach is empty. Another thing pia ulikuwa young. You cannot compare the person you are and the person you were as a child. Yeah? So you were also young, so your metabolism pia ukiwa kama mtoto ilikuwa tofauti. Then another thing, ile chakula ulikuwa unakula wakati ule sio hii. Kule sana sana ulikuwa unakula ni ugali na mboga, si ndio? Protein very rarely. Ikiwa protein pengine ilikuwa marurano. But right now people are eating heavier protein meal. Like nyama, mayai, whatever. Protein takes very long to be digested. But ukikula ugali na mboga, digestion is faster. Ama na maharagwe hivi because it's plant protein. But when you eat animal protein, it takes very long to be digested. So all the blood inaelekea kwa tumbo, you see? And even by the time unakula ile sapa, lunch haijaisha kutoka kwa tumbo. You are not hungry. Unakula because ni time ya kukula. See, we said hapa Kisii tunakula kumaliza. Hatukuli kushiba, we eat to finish. Hata mtoto anaulizwa, have you finished your food? Imagine, tunauliza watoto, umemaliza chakula? Not ati umeshiba, umemaliza. So the plate has to be empty. So there are many factors there at play that would make you feel kuota hivyo. Yeah.
Thank you for answering that. Another question. But what you've explained, I'm a live testimony. When I used to take breakfast and lunch and supper at once, I was big. Some of my friends can confirm that when I used to work Kisii University. You take breakfast heavy in the house. Kifika huko, jamaa wanakupeleka kwa staff mess. Still unararua kuku. Lunch, unakula mix. Kifika jioni kwa nyumba, bado unapata bado ile kuku ulikula lunch. ndio bado iko kwa nyumba, so you become very heavy.
Na pengine unateremsha na chai.
Yeah, tena unaongeza soda, Coca-Cola, unateremsha.
Yeah.
But when I reduced taking breakfast, then I reduced taking lunch, I normally take supper. I can see the change. Siwezi ota vile ulikuwa unasema na ota. Then another question. I have tuko na watoto. Wewe unaweza kosa kukula breakfast na lunch na supper. Lakini huyu jamaa yeye breakfast atararua. Lunch atararua. Supper hiyo yenye ulikuwa unasema previously you were saying somebody is taking food, nyama, anateremsha na maruranu, bado kuna chai. Watoto wanakula hivyo, lakini hakuna impact. Mimi si daktari, sijui nini na happen hapo. Watoto hawanoni, lakini wewe jaribu. Ukule tu breakfast, lunch, supper. 1 week you are big. But these young kids, they take breakfast hapo saa 4 wamekula sijui nini, supper watakula ugali kubwa. Baada hawawezi nona na hawezi ota.
Unajua watoto metabolism yao iko very fast. Number 1, watoto metabolism yao iko very fast. Number 2, the thing is they play. Watoto wanacheza tu, like unapata maisana ako kwa nyumba ana kick kila kitu ni kama ni mpira. You know he's kicking, he's spending energy. Mimi naweza keti tu from morning to evening, anasimama na kick, aenda aruke pale. So they are also active all the time. In fact, how old are your children? Niambie around between what age to what age. There's somewhere I'm going. Let me tell you what teenagers do. Niko kwa Facebook page, somebody was posting at 2 a.m. akiuliza mothers of teenagers. Hebu niambie, wacha nikwambie what teenagers do. Kuna siku nimelala kwangu saa 4 ya usiku. I've slept at 10. I have a teenager who works out in the gym. Na yeye anaamka usiku anapika. So me I slept. Tumelala. Unajua we always have leftovers. So mtu akiwa na njaa unajua kuna leftover. But sasa hiyo siku nimelala, kuna chakula ilikuwa imebaki ya kupika. I slept, I woke up in the morning, sioni hiyo food. Na unajua kitu kama uko na cabbage kwa fridge na mayai, sioni hiyo cabbage, sioni hiyo na sioni vyombo chafu. So nikaanza kujiuliza, what has happened? I slept at 10. I've woken up at 6. There is no raw food. Na hakuna vyombo kwa sink. So I said no. Did somebody enter the house and still, but no, where we live, nobody can enter. So it's very safe. I mean, mtu hawezi ingia. So I went, I asked the house guard, kwani nimechanganyikiwa? Am I confused? I thought when we slept, we had eggs, we had cabbage, we had tomatoes, we had onions. She said, ilikuwa. I said, but I can't see anything. Kuangalia kwa dustbin kweli, naona kuna hizo mtu amekata. So nikaita the boys, I said, what is happening? Then this boy says he was hungry at midnight, na akapika akakula, and because he knows I always tell them, vyombo zangu zioshwe. So I don't want to find a dirty sink. He cleaned the dishes, everything, na akamaliza akaenda. So I said, okay, now it seems I can no longer plan for food in this house. Because naweza kuwa nimelala, na mimi my mother taught me, by the time you sleep, you know what is to be eaten for breakfast. So naweza kulala nikijua hii ni ya breakfast, nikiamka napata hakuna. So nikamuuliza ulilala? Akasema safi kabisa. But you see, this guy is very active. He works out in the gym and it's very trim and he wants to gain muscle. So you can't compare yourself. Their metabolism is high and they are very active. Not just physically, but even mentally. That's why these young people, they are full of energy. You do a lot of injustice ukiwa confined, where you are not giving them an opportunity to think and plan and, and act. You do a lot of disservice. Okay. Let's proceed, yeah.
My question, some are comments and a question as well. Issue of time, where we started from. Na pia mentality issue, like how can we change a mentality ya mtu mkubwa, like tumegrow tukiambiwa, ama you've grown, tulisema like poverty. Una grow ukisema kwamba mimi ni poor, you cannot even be able to identify even resources ziko karibu or even use skills. Ama sisi wengine tumekuwa wakubwa saa we cannot even know skills gani we can use. So the change of mentality to that we can use something to make money or to empower ourselves.
So how we can change mindset? Before you go to changing the mindset of another person, you change yourself. Actually, wacha niseme hivi, I read a meme on Facebook today. It was addressed to ladies. It was saying, ladies, you cannot change him unless he's in diapers. Do you understand? Ladies, you can't change your husband unless he's in diapers. The only person who can change is changing diapers. You know, you say, I'm changing the baby. You can change a baby, diapers, but you can't change a human being. They have to choose to change. So the first thing, the person to change is you. So the first step, acknowledging that I've been having a poverty mentality. I've been having a poverty mindset. I was raised thinking that the only way I can make money is to go to work, get a job, kungojea mshahara. That's the way I was raised. Na hiyo mshahara, unajua you survive on loans. Unajua kuna watu, they don't believe they can do anything unless they take a loan. Unachukua loans until you die. So once you realize that I was raised wrong, these are money wounds. The next time now, you have to take action. It's going to be hard at first. Itakuwa ngumu kwanza because it's not something that comes naturally to you because you were not raised in that way. But over time, it becomes a bit easier as you change your mindset. And then as you do it and you see results, sometimes you can fail, sometimes you may not. Other people might see it as an example. Now, most of the time ukishaanza hivyo na umeanza kusucceed, you get the temptation to tell everyone. Unataka kwenda ukalishe chini watu, family members waambie, guys, you know we can do this. But you know, don't give somebody advice unless they have asked you. Unless mtu amekuuliza for advice, you don't give them advice. Either you suggest or you ask. You can suggest, have you ever considered doing this? Or you say, are you okay the way you are relying on the salary? Sometimes salaries delay. Sometimes it's, are you okay that way? If they say I'm okay, say it's fine. If they say no, give a suggestion. So you give a suggestion, not. And if they don't take it, it's your or if they don't take it, it's not your problem. But if they take, you shall have to help somebody. But the first thing that you do, you have to apply it on yourself. When I was a student, there's a time I was working. So I used to go to class from 8 a.m. to about 1:30. Then at work, I was doing a shift in the afternoon, about 2 to 8 p.m. So I used to wake up at 5 a.m. I go to Gikomba, 5 a.m. Nakimbia nanunua nguo mtumba because I realized most of my classmates were very busy. So they didn't have time kununua nguo, kununulia watoto ama kujinunulia. Because they used to tell me, where do you buy your sweaters from? They are so warm and so nice. So nikaanza kuamka 4 or 5 naenda Gikomba. I buy the mtumba clothes, I pick them. So I pack them in the boot of my car. So tukimaliza class nawaambia, come and see guys, there are some clothes I have. Wanakuja wanachukua clothes. Quickly, they pay me. Napata pengine menunua 100, I'm selling 300. They buy because they are busy and the things are good. Wanaenda. Mimi nakimbia kazini. I run, I take lunch quickly, I go to work. I work from about 2 up to 8 p.m. Nikimaliza 8 p.m, I sit in the office for 2 hours kusoma. From 8 to 10 p.m. nasoma because I need to read. Then I go to the house to sleep. I did that for a while. Then when I moved to my home, I had a shamba and the shamba was doing very well. Nikapanda skuma, spinach, kunde. It did very well. So I used to go home in the evening na chuna, na pack, naeka magunia. I put in the boot. Nikimaliza naambia watu, guys, niko na organic vegetables. Because nilikuwa napandia mbolea ya ng'ombe, sikuwa na spray, naweka ash. So naambia niko na organic vegetables you can make for your salad. Watu wanakuja, wanapick hizo bunches of skuma, kunde, cabbages, they take. You see seasons. Because now where I had moved, okay, somebody's phone. Where I had moved, sikuwa karibu na Gikomba. So I moved, I said, okay, now I'm not near Gikomba, but niko na shamba. I can plant, and I sold for very long. I sold like that. Then my bananas started doing very well, my sweet bananas. Watu wakaanza kuniambia niwapatie hizo chimbande for sweet bananas. I said, no, I cannot give for free. I told them, by the way, they're actually for sale. Wakaniuliza unauza ngapi? I said a seedling is 200 bob. Wakasema, yeah, that's okay. So one lady had a shamba in Kitengela. Akaniambia, nahitaji 40. I need 40 seedlings. I told my worker, akaamka mapema akanikatia 40. You know, on my way to work, I carried the seedlings. I delivered. She gave me 8,000. By 8, 9 o'clock, niko kazini. Niko na 8,000 kwa mfuko. Na nimeingia kazini. My seedlings have not done anything much. Kunanyesha, the seedlings are doing well. Just that. So I was able to see that kind of opportunity, and you keep changing because you can have an opportunity now. The next time, ina change, but unaangalia unaona ingine. Now, I was getting to the point of sasa how you change people. So when some of my family members noticed, because again, you be very careful. Don't advise people unless they have asked. Because hapa utakuwa kemanyimbogo osoro. And the people will start defending themselves. Wanasema unawaringia. So some of my family members asked me, but we were raised together. And you are so different. What is this? What is this that has touched you? Now, some things you can't translate from Kisi. But it's something like, what is this that has touched you and changed you? Because you are very different. I also want whatever touched you to touch me. I said, are you ready? Are you really ready to change? The person said, yeah. I said, I don't think you're ready. But the day you are ready to change, we can talk about it. I knew the family member was not ready. But later, when I shared, the family member laughed and said, hey, we pambana. Mi niko sawa. So you see, I knew this person ako sawa. Because some people may be okay, but you are not okay. So first you have to change your mindset. So you keep trying. One thing, it's not always a success story. One time you may try, it doesn't work. Another time you try, it works. So you keep trying, you keep trying. And then when you try, you will be an example to other people. They will want to know. In fact, you may even find people are paying you to teach them how to monetize their skills. So, and when people pay you to teach them, that is when you create the biggest impact. Because people are actually paying for that service. Okay, good. Thanks. You have another?
Have something for myself. Kama ni pesa nitajiwekea kidogo. That's why it happens in most families or with women. Tutakuwa na pesa, maybe kama ni ya chama, my husband ataniuliza pesa, nitamkopa na atarudisha. And so it happens, maybe you are not, si nyinyi wote sio development oriented. Kuna mwingine maybe ako west of, sijui niseme wester or something like that. Mwingine ako slow, something like that as well. So wakati, or as women, saa zingine tukiambiwa if our husband want to do development, tutapeleka maneno. So maybe if it's a man, atajaribu kufanya development asikuambie as a woman or as a family. Ama someone ako slow in development oriented. So you decide maybe you do something without him or her. So how to synchronize that when such happens? Maybe mwingine ni wester, mwingine ako slow in development. Na saa zingine as women, saa zingine unataka kujiekea something. If something happens, like the other days tulikuwa tunasoma, like you can sustain yourself. So if I don't have something for myself, if something happens in marriage, I will not be able to sustain myself. So lazima nijiekee kitu kidogo kando.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that question. Sometimes hata inakuwa self-fulfilling prophecy. Unajua hivyo? Kuna sometimes it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're already prepared for it. So I know that you can be in a marriage and both of you are different. Normally inakuwa hivyo. So you complement one another. Now, I'm not opposed to somebody keeping something for themselves, but you need to communicate. You know there's a difference. There is privacy and there's secrecy. Secrecy is whereby you are hiding something intentionally na unaficha utake mtu mwingine ajue. Secrecy. But there is privacy, where they are aware, you may not disclose the amount, but they are aware that there is this that I'm keeping at such and such a place. So privacy is okay, you communicate, but secrecy is the problem because you are keeping secrets. Now, the question is, why don't you address the issue? If, for example, mtu ana waste, you know, you can have a discussion. I know you can't change someone, but you can have a discussion. And you know, it's okay to tell somebody that, by the way, I would really love that we put our money together, but because of ABCD, I am struggling. I don't think I'm going to have to put the money together because of ABCD. It's good to communicate that. So once you have communicated, either the issue will be addressed or not, but you need to communicate. And then the advice of kama mwanamke jiekee kitu, where is it coming from? Because always there's a context. Ukiona somebody anakuambia hivyo akona context. Maybe wherever they were in a union whereby the partner had mpango wa kando. The partner was likely to even be in a polygamous union, na alikuwa anajua if we put everything together in a kiti, watoto wengine ama watu wengine watakuja from outside and they are going to have to also partake of the family property. Maybe it's coming from there. There's always a context. Now, your context may be different. It may be important to address the specific issue. Now, if you address the specific issue and it's not changing, you can actually communicate. You don't have to say the exact amount or whatever, but let the person be aware that this is what I am doing. In fact, I think many people will appreciate, unless there's another underlying issue, wakijua ya kwamba, mama so and so usually would be having something, they will appreciate. But unless usually there could be an underlying issue, a communication issue. Because when everybody starts hiding, kila mtu anaanza kuweka, then you will find that there is no suspicion. I mean, there is a lot of suspicion. Hata unapata, there are some homes I see, imagine there is no bread, let's say for breakfast. Watoto wanakuwa toast from one partner to another. Ambia mama yenu akununulie, ambia baba yenu anunue. Imagine, it's so unfair. Ama hata pocket money, children are being tossed here and there. Ambia babako anunue, ambia babako, ambia mamako. And the children, again, I will just keep going back that you communicate. But overall, let me say this. The way people are running their families or whatever, there's always a context. Na hiyo context pengine may not be your context. Like many times when I tell people about joint account, I don't know whether I told you this. My husband and I opened a joint account after our honeymoon. So tulienda bank. We have been married for maybe a week. Tumeenda bank. That time it was Barclays Bank. Now it's Absa. Tukaenda kufungua joint account. Tumeenda, another lady there looked at me. Akaniambia, are you two married? I said, yeah. And she said, are you sure you want to open a joint account? I said, yes. She said, you're sure? We have seen a lot of things here. I said, yes, I'm serious. So we go ahead, we open a joint account. Then she asks us, is it for either to sign or both to sign? I said, either to sign. Either of us can withdraw money. She took time. She said, how long have you been married? I said, something like a week. So maybe she saw I was very naive. She said, why can't you have it both of you to sign? I said, no, because sometimes I may be busy. One of us may be busy. It's easier for one of us to do what? To sign. She said, just think about it. But she put us either to sign. We have held that joint account for 21 years now. When we've been married, 21 years. We have that joint account. And like right now, I'm here. My husband called me in the morning. He told me we were doing a certain transaction and he needed some money. So he called me to tell me I need to go and withdraw the money. Because now, ever since now, we have an alert. So when he withdraws, anybody withdraws, an alert will come to my phone. So he needed to let me know so that akienda kutoa, nikipata alert nijue. So akaniambia, there is a transaction that has come up. I need to go and withdraw money. So he went to withdraw the money because haina ATM, unaenda kwa bank, unatoa pesa for 21 years. But I would not recommend everybody that open a joint account because your circumstance may be different and mine is different. So evaluate the person you are with and then decide what to do. When we were building our home, because my husband was in charge of buying the materials and everything, I took a loan, I put it in his account because I wasn't going to be available. I was expecting our last born. So I took the entire loan, and when I was giving the account where the money is going, I just indicated it to be put in his account. So he would go buy materials, anakuja jioni na Excel sheet, ananionyesha up to the last nail. But namwambia, no, I don't need to see what you have bought. He says, no. So he has documented, he has files on the expenditure to our home. But I just told him I don't need to see because I trust you. If I didn't trust you, I was not going to put this money in your account in the first place. Will I tell everybody to do that? No. People are different. So evaluate your situation, but whatever decision you do, please communicate. Like usifanye vitu siri siri. Just be a person who walks in the light. You communicate, you just say, for this reason, I'm willing, but circumstances are that for now, I'm not going to do it. So that you are not going to walk in darkness. You don't let, again, as we said, somebody to change you. Is that clear? You're smiling, you're surprised. Hivyo ndio nilisema. Situations are very different. But for me, I would like to do unto others the way I would done unto me. Like I want to do to someone the way they do it unto me. But if I gave my husband money, this one I must say, if I gave him money and I got evidence that he has squandered the money, I will never give him again. You understand? So I'm not doing it blindly. I'm saying this person has not given me any reason whatsoever to doubt his financial expenditure. I doubt he will give me. But if he ever gave me, I will be foolish to still continue doing this because I will not be a good steward. You see, you are not a good steward when you are giving and somebody is squandering, okay? But again, I will begin rethinking because sometimes unajua, what we do is that we bury our heads in the sand. You know, sometimes there's an issue we need to address. But tunaenda we bury our heads in the sand when the fundamental issue is, can this person then really even be trusted? You know, when you think about it, can this person be trusted? So I totally agree. Situations are different. Please manage whichever situation with wisdom, but always remember to communicate and deal with the root issue. Because you can be dealing with surface issues, but then you find there are underlying issues that you have not addressed. Okay, yes, next.
I was urging my fellow Christians. There is a scenario which occurred on 2013. There is a certain lady who went to bank. Walikuwa wameishi tu vizuri for more than 15 years. She requested apewe loan sababu alikuwa ameachiliwa. She was given 2.5 million. So this lady walikuwa wameongea na bwanake wakaleta pesa kwa nyumba. Kuna investment walikuwa wanafanya. The husband aliamkanga saa 7 ya usiku akatoroka na hiyo pesa. Actually vile alitoroka na hiyo pesa ni kama alikuwa amecommunicate kwao nyumbani. So the lady when she realized the money is not in, ilibidi msichana akapiga simu kwa kina kijana. Akawaambia we were sleeping and fulani hayuko. So the moment parents wakamwambia hatujamuona. So yule msichana akajaribu kufuatilia kwa marafiki, akasikia jamaa wake ako Nairobi. So yule jamaa ilifika saa 8 ya mchana akamwandikia text akamwambia I no longer want your services in my homestead. Nisikupate ukienda huko. It is not the first time actually. So me as a Christian, I was telling my fellow ladies, if you don't trust your man, even if you trust him, inaweza fika mahali watu hawaeleweki. So ni vizuri hii pesa, if at all you don't trust this person, number 2, kama hakika hujalipiwa dowry ama ukimshuku, don't do that because most ladies in Kisii town, we have seen them perishing, we have seen them dying because of these loans.
Asante, wacha ni comment before you comment. That's a very good point you have said. Na in fact, hata umeongea vizuri kusema ya kwamba don't even trust somebody hujalipiwa dowry. That's not even a husband. In fact, in the first place, what are you doing with that person? You see, if somebody is getting the milk, why are they buying the cow? Nauliza tu. So in the first place, should you even be cohabiting with someone? You need to regularize, have things in order in the first place. Yeah? So that's not even a husband, that's some other male human being you found. Another thing is this, yeah. Another thing is this. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, most of the time, somebody will not be stealing 2.5 million for the first time. Unajua saa zingine, I've kept on talking about us, looking at the root cause. Unajua many of these things, they begin during dating. Unajua hizi vitu zinaanza mapema sana. Let me ask, a certain lady told me she has been with the husband for over 10 years. The issues they're having right now is he's just at home, she works, he takes all the money because they have a joint account, takes all the money, goes to drink it, everything, he goes to drink and ride bikes and everything. I told her this has not started now. I told her, take me back. She said when they were dating, this guy was driving the father's car. Akamuomba pesa amwekee mafuta. They were both students. Kamwambia, I need to go to such and such a place, fuel for me the car. She fueled the car. I told her the natural instinct of a healthy man, as I've said it, is to protect, provide, secure. If you find a man who is asking you as the woman, you are dating, umpatie pesa aende anakuomba, a healthy man will not borrow the girlfriend money. That's for sure. He won't. He will borrow from M-Shwari, from the bank, or from his guy friends. That's true. Because he wants to show that he can take care of you. So if this creature, this person borrows money, then you go ahead and you marry them. Now you call that a husband. No, you already saw that that's a con man. So if by the time the con man is stealing 2.5 million, he has always been a con man. So saa zingine unajua what tunasema these people change. They don't. They just become more of who they are. But sometimes we are blinded. You know, the Bible says, let me read for you something. I'm going to give you a chance, but I think I need to read for you something because people say, oh, you know, we love each other. We love each other and we'll make it work. Let me tell you what the book of Proverbs says. Chapter 24, verse 3 and 4. By wisdom, a house is built. By understanding, it is established. By knowledge, the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You know, there are many people who divorce and they love each other. There are many people who are struggling in their marriages and they love each other because they lack knowledge, they lack wisdom. So what you need to build your home is knowledge, is wisdom. So unapata we have started on a wrong foundation. So by the time mtu anachukua 2.5 million, sasa ona, when someone hears that story, they can be with a healthy person and then they will start hiding because they're starting, this other woman alibiwa 2.5 million. Wacha na mimi niweke. But you see, your husband is not a con man. I mean, there are people who are honest. Your wife is not a con man. So you start treating your person who is straightforward like a con man. They wonder, what have I done? Because umesikia umesema, hule nani alifanyiwa hivyo, wacha na mimi nijipange. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You break your own home, which was not like that. Unapata, for example, this guy is dating, maybe you've liked a girl. Munasikizana mkutane mahali, anakuitisha fare. Then you go ahead and marry this female creature that is just out to consume. Then you start saying, wanawake ni pesa tu. Anakuitisha fare to come and meet you. Alafu ukiona kama anakuja vitu zenye anaitisha, unashangaa. The things they are eating, you wonder. They are eating mpaka unashangaa, guy, huyu mtu anakula hivi, kweli ni mtu wa kujenga, huyu ni mtu wa kumaliza. It is a consumer. So you marry Delilah the consumer, then you think you can convert them to be Abigail the wise woman. Delilah can never be Abigail. And you saw it from the beginning. They want to exploit you. Ukiingia kama ni supermarket, they are picking this, they are picking the other. Angalia, just be keen. Sometimes it's good to be students of life. Wait, just look at how somebody is picking things. And you start wondering, do you really need all these things? Besides that, kama ni pesa yako, would you really have bought all these things? So when they are picking, they don't change. They start asking you for fare. One man actually was showing me text. Amepata msichana, the girl is saying, nitumie so 5 ya chakula ya food. Just send me some 500 for food. Then kidogo, nitumie some ya rent, haki nafungiwa nyumba. He showed me the messages. All the messages the girl has sent him, anamuitisha pesa. All the messages. Then I told him, surely, do you think you have a wife here? All the messages. She even has no shame. Ata asemi ati hi, what? Maybe anasema, please, nitumie 500, niko stuck mahali. I said, if you marry this one, don't start accusing all women. It's not all women. It's because of the person you have married. Delilah, accept. And they never hid it. They showed you. But you thought you will change them. You can't change somebody who is not in diapers. Yeah, go. Okay. Yeah, he has some.
I was putting clear. Sio wanaume peke yake wanatoroka na pesa. We have more.
It was just an example.
It was an example, but she was trying to exist that it's only men. We have more ladies who con men. So my addition to the question, kuna hizi marriage zinaanza tu na wao hawajui kwamba wameanza marriage. You know, your husband and the wife you have or the husband you have is not an angel. Ni mtu mmepatana na yeye. So the moment mnapatana na yeye, you must understand your spouse. You must understand your wife. You must understand your husband from the point vile mmeanza, the earlier stage. So kuna watu unapata, for example, let me use example, you are in a university. Kijana anakuambia uko kwa room, umepika lunch, ati hapana nikuje na mboga, anakuja na mayai 2 na nyanya 1 na sukuma. Akifika kwa room, hiyo ni lunch. Si msichana sasa ndiye atapika hiyo mayai 2 na hiyo sukuma. Kijana anakaa hapo na laptop. anakaa mpaka sasa sapa. Ikifika sapa, nani ana provide sasa? The lady now can go out, aenda anunue tu mboga tena alete wakule. Kijana atalala hapo. Breakfast nani ana? Msichana baada ataamkia alete maandazi wakule. Kijana atatoka kesho tena apige simu kwingine. You know that's a con man. And you get more marriages wamepatana tu kwa university through those processes, kwamba analeta mayai and then they get married. Ukishapata mkishaoana na huku tambua kwamba who is this from the earlier stage. So hapo ndio shida inakuwa. For example, Cora was saying about you save pesa yako kando kwa sababu umeona huyu is not a performer or what. Or a man can decide now to save pesa kivyake, anasema mwanamke maybe for example wanajaribu kutumia nini, atapeleka pesa kwao. So hauku understand huyu mwanamke ama hauku understand huyu mwanaume wakati mulianza. You should start from wakati mulianza ndio unafaa kumuunderstand kwamba huyu si mtu wa maendeleo. So hapo ndio unaanza kuweka kitu tusema communication. You now try to communicate to your spouse kwamba unamuunderstand yeye ni spender na huyu anawe. So at the end of the day, hata ingawa anajua kwamba uko na 5 million, you understand bwana yako akiguza hiyo 5 million ataitumia kwa dakika moja. Lakini lazima ajue kwamba you have this cash na yeye anafaa ajue uko na hii pesa. That's love in the family. The moment unaanza kuficha, kuna one man na yeye alikuwa investor. Then akakuwa mgonjwa. Kukua mgonjwa, mwanamke ndiye anampeleka hospitali na mwanaume hakuwa anasema kwamba ako na pesa. Mwanamke akatumia pesa yote akatibu huyu mwanaume, alikuwa na cancer. Mpaka mwanamume ikafika stage wakauza mashamba yote. Mwanaume anatibiwa hospitali. At the end of the story mwanaume alikufa. Mwanamke akabaki akiwa maskini.
Na the man akona pesa.
Now the man has the money. Ndio sasa after some years the woman was called from the bank. Kwamba are you married? Your husband was this. Yes. Ebu come to the bank Absa. So alikuwa na nowadays hatuoni bwana yako hapa kwa banki. He used to come with a lot of money, atumuonangi. Hii pastor mwanaume wangu alikufa kitambo. But you know what? Hapa kuna a lot of millions here and we were wondering pesa. Unaona mwanaume ni mgonjwa, hataki kutoa pesa yake. Mwanamke sasa ndiye ana struggle kumtibu mpaka anakufa na pesa iko kwa account. Why am I saying so? We should be transparent to your spouse. I understand kwamba uko na 5 million yeye hana, lakini unamgundua kwamba huyu akiguza hii pesa atafanya nini? Atatumia. Also, I should understand that mimi natumia na pesa iko. So at the end of the day, understand what do you have as a family.
Exactly. Thanks. Yeah.
Have kuenda anaenda mpaka kwa account, anaambiwa anaenda kwa bank. Kwanza ajui pin ya bwanake ya simu in the first place. Sasa anajua yenyewe, naye alikuwa anajua kuna pesa mahali, lakini sasa lazima apite process, aende asainiwe sijui wapi, ndio ile pin ikuje kujulikana. Mimi hiyo kitu haikunifurahisha.
Yeah. I pray that we can change and be more transparent and be more open and be communicative. It's okay, you go ahead. Yeah. I really pray that some of these things we are sharing, it really pains me. Like ukiona watu wanaficha wako na cards under the table, you know, and you are one family. And most importantly, remember, it diminishes resources za familia. Hiyo ndio shida. Mnaendelea kuwa maskini when you can actually do better. And even you can do so much together. Okay, go ahead. Somebody wants to say something. You can do so much, I'm telling you. When you combine your resources, you will achieve so much. You will have investment. Your children will be comfortable. They'll go to good schools. You will even be a resource to the community. Go ahead, somebody.
Yes, God is good and all the time. Yeah, there's that issue you brought about finances. There's this thing about our money and my money. Mostly and most of the days, our money is the man's money. Yes. na ile ya madam is my money. And there is this other thing, when a man is pushed to the very wall, especially in terms of finance, kuna hii pesa ina pop up, alafu unaambiwa ni ya chama. Yeah. Another thing, it's about ambition. Each and every one of us has different ambition. Kuna ule anataka kujiendeleza career wise. There is that other one who is maybe an entrepreneur in their own right. So wants to progress with their career, others anataka kusoma aende mpaka ngambo. This really brings some sort of conflict, especially when a woman wants to really progress to certain heights. The third thing, I would like to have counsel on how to deal with the children who are really hyperactive or something like that. For example, my daughter. My daughter is someone who wants change very fast. There is a certain time alifika pahali akaniambia mimi sasa siendi shule, and I asked her why, and she told me I'm being told about apples the entire time. If the teacher is not going to tell me something else, me, I'm not going to school. I'd rather stay at home and do something different. Na hapo nyumbani bado, when things stay the same, she wants change in like 2 days. Anataka mbadiliko wa vitu. How do you deal with such kids?
Yeah, that's a good question. All your questions are good. And I really want to hear from the bottom of your heart what has worked. You know, some of these things may not be in the Bible as in clear the way you're saying. Life principles. Now, I've heard that story of my money is your money, and my money is my money and our money is... Now, personally, for me, from my own life and the experiences I have working with people, I don't know how it is when one human being, them what they are earning is meant to take care of everybody. There is another human being who also has capacity to earn, but they are keeping theirs. So what I have seen happen is that many times, so the money of this one partner is underutilized kwa nyumba. So when it's underutilized in the home, it ends up being wasted. Do you understand what I'm saying? And wasting may mean unashinda ukitumia watu wako and you give them fish as opposed to teaching them how to fish. You always identify there are people in need all over. Unashinda ukiwapatia because of underutilization. And the person who is working, whose money is our money, they end up getting overwhelmed because they're also a human being. They can seem like, yes, they are providing, but they get overwhelmed and they could have done so much more. At the end of the day, the family income is reduced because you are not able to come and invest, maybe getting more property, taking children to maybe better schools because you have resources. The resources are not there. I will want to know if there is a man who is happy with, I've not met one, but if I meet one here, I think I'll change my story. A man who is comfortable, him and the wife, they are working, but he's shouldering all the responsibilities. The wife, yeye pesa yake ikue yake. If there's a man like that, maybe. Is there a man like that? Ako comfortable from the bottom of your heart. You are okay shouldering everything your wife is earning yake ikue yake. I've never met one like that. I've not met one like that. So sometimes I don't know where this ideology come from. Because for me, as I say, do unto others what you would unto you. So I look at it this way. We are partners. If I expect to be consulted as an equal partner, then I have to be an equal partner when it comes to family resources. It doesn't mean that all of us contribute equally. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying what you're able to provide, you put it in the family kitty. Because I am raising sons. And I would never want my son to be the one breaking his back, shouldering all the responsibilities. So what am I modeling to him? I'm modeling to him a partnership. Because another thing I ask, what if the man dies because he can? What if he loses his job? What will happen? You'll tell me you'll step up. But you step up something you were never used to doing. Now, this is the question again I will ask. Now, how do I expect to be consulted in investment when I'm not party to it, I'm not contributing? Then I'm expecting, amenunua shamba na hakuniambia. Of course, because if I want to be treated as a baby girl, let me remain a baby. Babies are not consulted. Now, nasema tu, you want baby girl treatment, remain a baby. Because now you cannot again start, it's conflicting because you're saying, I want to be spoiled. I want to be treated as a baby girl. Then you start complaining. Oh, akanunua shamba, akaniambia. But I don't tell my son where I'm buying a shamba. He's a baby. I don't tell him. It's adults who talk about such stuff. So you see, it becomes a conflict because you'll be treated as a baby to the very end. Okay? So personally, this is what I believe. You put your resources together and plan for them as a family. If somebody has someone they are supporting, you bring it to the table. You bring to the table. Like now I told you, I'm completing building for my mother a house. I brought it to the table, not to seek for permission. I said, I want to put up for my mother a house because of this and that. And my husband said, fine. He keeps asking, how far has the house gone? And I don't expect him to contribute money for it. He can. But for me, I don't have that expectation. If he does it, I'm very grateful because I don't want to be entitled. That is not his mother. So if he says the day he says, have this money, you can actually roof with it. I'm so grateful because that's not his mother. I don't expect that. So you put together, I'm yet to meet a man who is happy doing that. So I don't know where that is coming from. And then the other part you talked about when it comes to kujiendeleza, mwingine ako tu sawa na biashara. People are different. Me, I believe in complementing one another and supporting one another. If, like, for example, my husband met me at the university, we met at the university and we met in church. I do not ever expect him to come in between me and my studies because he met me at the university I was studying. He met me in church, so I don't expect him to come in between me and my service to God. Because were it not for God, he would not have met me. Were it not for my studies, hangenipata. So the thing is, we support one another. He may be interested maybe in business, me I'm interested in kujiendeleza. So we bring it to the table. Like now when I was coming to Kisii, I said, I'm going to Kisii to speak for 1 week. I'm leaving Kisii, I head to Nairobi, I pack my clothes. I'm going to Mombasa for another 1 week. So we talked because him is always at home. So we talked, we said, so you're going to be home with the children, I go. He said, please go. What do you need? Support. The next time he has something he needs support, he will say, you know what, there's something I need to do. So during this time, block your dates, you'll be there with the children. We support one another. Remember the way you treat your partner, they will treat you the same when your whatever comes. So I don't know, maybe the part you may be saying, I don't know that, it becomes a problem when the woman is the one who wants to advance. I said on day 1 or day 2, the IQ of the children is determined by the IQ of the mother. Children who are malnourished most of the time, they come from families where the mothers are not educated. So they don't even know how to combine the food groups. So by you supporting your wife, for example, as a man to advance, it's a benefit to your children. My children have gotten opportunities because of me. Like they go somewhere, you find somebody knows, somebody says, you're Rose's child, come and get this. My son wants to go to an exchange program to Canada next year. And he told me, Mama, I want to go to Canada for an exchange program by the university. I told him I have friends, I have clients in Canada. I have churches I've ministered in Canada online. I just contact them. I say, my son is coming to the university. Anybody there? And I told him, you will be hosted. He will be hosted. My son will be given first-class treatment. You know why? Because I've ministered. I have people I've never met, but they are my clients. They are my friends. So imagine what a blessing. Like if my husband was blocking me, then our son is going to Canada. He has to struggle. He doesn't know anybody. But because of that, so they go places. They say, somebody says, when mtoto wa Rose, just come. You don't need to line up. Just go here. When mtoto wa so-and-so, the father, other places, just come, get this. So by you supporting each other, unless you're with the wrong person, such that maybe some people can become proud. Some people get to a place, they forget where the Lord has gotten them from. And that is not an issue of advancement. That's an issue of somebody's attitude. Because they feel wanataka kukanyaga watu, and such people never go very far. Because they become proud and they never advance from that point. So maybe addressing the issue, you can ask, why is it that I'm bothered if my wife wants to advance? What is the real issue? Sometimes you can say when they have young children, there are women also, let me talk about women now. There are women also who don't understand their seasons. Like if you're breastfeeding, for example, the priority is the baby being breastfed. One of my colleagues left a 6-week-old to go for a training in the US for 6 weeks. Was it 6 weeks? A 6-week-old baby. She was in maternity leave. Na alikuwa amechukua leave. Opportunity ikakuja ya kwenda US. Akasema akatoka leave. Akasema siachi. Nikiacha hiyo opportunity sita succeed. Sitapata ingine. Imagine she got a nurse from the workplace to come and live in her house, an elderly nurse, to sleep with her 6-week-old. Ndiye aende US, surely. Now those are wrong priorities. Because a child who is lacking that connection with the mother at such an early age, they will never recover. Because that's a motherless child. You see? So you find somebody does not understand their seasons. And no, right now I'm breastfeeding. The child never asked to be born. So I will have to stay here, take a pause, and breastfeed because you understand your seasons. So maybe understand critically, why is it that I'm bothered when my partner wants to advance, and support your partner because you'll benefit as a family. And at the end of the day, it will actually, even she will support you because your time will come also and your partner will support you. Then the other point you've talked about, having a hyperactive child. I think that's very common for me, right school, because there are some schools that don't have extracurricular. I've had to move my children many schools because some schools don't have very vibrant extracurricular activity to use the energy of the child. So check whether they're in the right school. Do they have enough play? Do they have extracurricular activities? Check that out. Then the other thing, you can engage your child in other activities outside of the school. Like I remember my eldest son was very hyper. He could be in class because of being hyper. He eats all his nails because he's just bored. He wants to keep going. I registered him in the Kenya National Library Services. So every week he had to borrow 2 books and do a book report. And then I enrolled him in a public speaking club. He's a very excellent public speaker. So I enrolled him in a public speaking club because he loves to speak. He can speak. I enrolled him in a writing course. So he was doing writing. He would write manuscripts, materials, and they're even monetized. So as a parent, you have to be ahead of the time. My last born is so hyper. I've enrolled him in a football club. So Friday afternoon after school, is in an Adventist school. They break at 1. He goes for football. Sunday, he goes for football. Like now I told you, next week he's going to Nakuru for a week or so for football. He's in a football club. Because I realized he's also a member of the Kenya National Library. He's very active. He's also in a writing course, which somebody is helping him to be a writer online. Because you may lose your child, or your child can get into destructive activities because they are very hyperactive. So such a child, get him to a place where music, can he learn music, play an instrument? You might have to invest a little more as a parent, be more involved, but have that child engaged. Because I've noticed that children who get into destructive activities, they are very intelligent children. The ones who are just average, they are just content here. But the ones who are very active, it becomes very difficult. So when my son joined university last year, even if he's doing a course that is involving, I realized this course cannot be sufficient for him. He applied for something else, he got a scholarship, which he requires to put in 40 hours a week online. So he's doing something for 1 year that is putting 40 hours. He sleeps some days at midnight, wakes up at 5 to prepare. So he attends his classes in college, then he's also doing a course because he's doing an IT course. So someday I was checking where we put our books. So I saw papers that have been marked. So when I'm looking at the papers, I'm seeing 98%, 100%. I said, whose papers are these? He said, that's the cut we did at school. So I said, you didn't show me, you've cleared everything, you didn't show me? He said, yeah. I said, you mean you're able to put in 40 hours for this online course, my software engineering, then you're also able to do your classes and you still get everything? He said, yes. I told him this is what will happen. After your first year, you'll get an online job. After his first year in college, when he has finished the course, I said, you're getting an online job. So I was discussing with him, are you going to get the job? You take care of your expenses? He said, no, because you are my parent. you will pay for me for my university. I said, that's okay. So I asked him, how do you want to spend your money? He opened as a money market investment account. He says, I will put my money there. By the time I finish campus, I will have put a down payment for an apartment. Said, I want to buy a house. Said, what will you do with the house? He said, it will be 2-bedroomed. I live in one. The other one, I use it as an office. So I said, can you move in with your brothers? He said, no, they are not my children. You stay with your children. Me, I will buy an apartment. I said, oh, you can actually even buy the apartment and rent it. You see, because this guy, I know him. I know if we don't engage him, the guy can get lost just like this because his mind works very, very fast. So he has to get a job so that he will be working and he will be studying. So what I can say, you have a treasure. That's a wonderful child you have right there. But then you also have a heavy responsibility to find out what works best. You try many things. Then when you see there's something that they are doing very well, you encourage, motivate them towards that. Because we have seen children who have gone ahead and they have really done very well in other things alongside the academic. So academic is not stimulating enough for them. Get them to do other things. A lot of people I've seen, like personally, I always have many things running. I can't just do one thing. I get so bored and even feel depressed because I'm like monotone, the same thing, but I have to have many things running. So it's a responsibility of the parent to understand so that you can guide your child, you can support them to exploit their talent, be the best that they can be. Thank you. Don't know whether there's one more, then we can end for this evening. Is there one more?
Maybe last one from here, this corner.
Okay. There's another one here? Okay, so we do one here, then one there. Uh-huh.
So, sorry, I want to take you back.
Yeah.
The joint.
Yes.
And where you said about the baby girl treatment na consultations. Mostly what I know or what I feel, what happens sometimes, it can happen, the joint account, but it happens in white-collar jobs where your money is salaried, maybe to account, where you are contributing. As a lady, you're contributing. But if, on the other hand, it happens like you're a housewife, and happens that you have a joint account, the consultation will not happen. You will not have an opinion or an idea to contribute because you are a housewife. Your chores that you do from 5 to 6 won't be quantified in terms of contributing, in terms of monetary. So you won't have an idea or something to contribute in terms of development with regards to the money. Give me time. In terms of the money that maybe you've put into a joint account. And that is why what happens, even in the community where we come from, our mothers work so hard in the tea farms, but what happens at the end when bonuses do come? The men will disappear with the money. The woman will suffer, won't even buy something for her house because she doesn't even have a contribution or an idea to make towards even what she really contributed to.
Good. He has something to say. Okay. Do you want to, maybe him and then you?
Yeah, I'm not answering that. I have another thing to put across. There is this issue of borrowing money. Usually it happens that when the man gives out the money, that is normal because of how society has put it. But then again, when a lady does the other way around, it is a debt. And you are really reminded about that. Yes.
So borrowing money. Okay, I'll comment. Okay. So maybe what I'll do, okay, let me respond to the two, then we allow him to say. So yeah, the part of the housewife, remember I said that even when somebody is a homemaker, they are making it easier for the other person to work. So they are taking care of the home and they are making it easier for the other person, so they are contributing. Now, what I would want to know, sometimes I ask ladies, do you really want to be a housewife? Like, if it's something you really want, and both of you have agreed, that's okay. Sometimes, let me say this, and it may sound mean. Sometimes some people choose not to work because of laziness. They have opportunity, and the partner, and even the partner encourages them to go out and work, but they don't want to go and work. They want to be at home and keep saying, I'm taking care of children. One of them has children 17 25 and 28. And she's still a housewife taking care of children. 17, 24 and 26. And she's still at home. Never worked. Having studied up to master's level. Never worked. And their husband is overwhelmed. He keeps on saying, one income, it's so heavy. And as she waits, she gives him a list every week for shopping. So sometimes let's evaluate. Have we both agreed that you want to be a housewife? And again, you can work from home. You can still be a housewife. If you're not involved 24 hours, you can be at home and still do your chores, especially when kids are not so young, but you still do something. Hata kama ni kidogo, deliveries, online, you can still do something. So sometimes I want to understand, is it something you really want to do? Have you agreed? Are you comfortable that you have to keep on saying, I need sanitary towels? Are you comfortable saying, my mom needs some matumbo, send me 500, kunulia mamangu matumbo? Sometimes the money hides your shame. When you have some little money here, maybe there's a way you've agreed you will be having an allowance. But I don't know why the dynamic of the house will shift to father-daughter when you have an allowance. And some people get so entitled to an allowance. I think even if it's not formal employment, you can also contribute. And a normal, healthy human being will always want to contribute. You see, you always feel like Nani is working so hard. Let me also do something. Let me not just be there. Let me do something. Especially children are not young forever. The moment they go to school, what do you do from morning to evening? The other part you've talked about when borrowing money. This is what I believe. Every healthy relationship has boundaries. Every healthy relationship has boundaries. Kuna mipaka. If you want your marriage, your relationship to be strong, have boundaries. Not ile story ya ati my husband can get into my handbag na anatoa tu pesa. Ama I can go into his wallet na kutoa tu pesa. Have boundaries so that then people are not hiding money because they are afraid. For me, I believe in this. If like my husband was planning to do something and they need money, he asks me for it, maybe tuko mahali na anasema, can you give me some money? He will refund it. If I ask him for money for something, I refund it. Because he didn't have a budget for it. When our sons were traveling to Uganda last week, our sons were going to Uganda, they needed yellow fever vaccine. I organized for the yellow fever vaccine for them to get. In my mind, I thought because it's a government facility, I thought it's free. But in mimi nilikuwa nimepanga. So I told their daddy to go and drop them. He went and dropped them. Then he contacted me and said, did you know that the yellow fever vaccine is 3,000, I think, something like that each? I said, I didn't realize, but because I'm the one who had organized, pay for them and I will refund because you're already there, because it was prompt. As you pay, you are being prompted. He paid for them and I immediately sent him 6,000 because he didn't have it in his budget. The same way I want to be treated. If you send me somewhere, I was coming from town. Then you tell me, pitia hapo kwa Kamau, ulete nyama kilo moja. Mi sikuwa napanga. So, utanitumia pesa. No, unajua boundaries are good. Sikuwa napanga, just an example, natumia tu nyama. I know we are Adventists, soya basi. Maragwe kilo 2, I'm just saying. Peter hapo, sometimes ama anasema, the kids are asking for pizza, ebu pass there wanunulie leo ni Tuesday. Sikuwa nimepanga. So he says, just pass there, I'm sending you money, you'll pick it. Just that. Sometimes, when we catch feelings, let me tell you, we romanticize everything. Sometimes we romanticize things that should not be romanticized. So we want to be romantic ati ni unipendi, unijali. Sasa hiyo tena imetokea wapi? If we were walking, you were not planning to buy clothes. Nimeangalia duka, nimepata kuna sale. I wasn't carrying money. Nikwambie cause uko na simu yako, nilipie nichukue hii jacket. Si utani refund, mi sikuwa napanga. Si ndio? I was not planning to buy a jacket at that time. So I will say, buy me this jacket. Once I get home, I'm going to give you the money. So where are the romantic catching feelings coming from? Because it was your plan, it wasn't my plan, you see. So we need to respect each other and respect each other's boundaries because we are 2 in 1. We need to know where your spouse ends and where you begin. Where you end and where your spouse begin. You can't start arguing ati kwani kama nimekuambia ununue maharagwe hapo ama ununue mboga, si pesa ni yetu, si hata hiyo chakula utaikula. But mimi sikuwa na hiyo mpango. Like I wasn't planning. Or if you have agreed, sometimes people agree on expenditure. You see, sometimes you agree we utanunua mboga. Like in my house, my home, we have agreed, may I buy vegetables and fruit, my husband buys vitu za supermarket. Tume agree. Like now I was away during this time. Avocado na ndizi zimeisha. Sina watumia pesa wanunue. It's my responsibility to buy bananas and avocados. So I'll send them money. I tell them, guys, go to the market, buy avocados and bananas. It's my responsibility. So siwezi anza kusema, I was away, hizo ndizi hata wewe unakula. Let's not romanticize. Wacha tuheshimiane. Okay, please, we can take the last one.
I want to take you back to, in terms of disciplinary of kids. How do we discipline our kids? That is in all cadres, that is the teenagers to the small kids. How are we supposed to when they have done a mistake?
That's a good question, actually, and I don't know why it never came up, because it's very important. Okay, you want to add?
I have a girl who is argumentative. Yani kitu yote unamuuliza lazima argue. Hata ukimwambia this is wrong, umefanya, hawezi agree ati amefanya hiyo kitu. Lazima afanye nini? Akuchallenge. Akuulize mbona hivyo? Mimi sikufanya hivyo, ama I'm not the one who was.
How old is the girl?
18. Na yani he has to argue. Yani hautamshinda kuargue. Alafu au kuguza maneno ya watu wenye wako na wazee wenye wanakunywa pombe. Kama mzee wangu aliwacha kazi, tangu aliwacha kazi hataki kufanya kazi yoyote, kunywa tu.
Okay. So I will begin with this ones, then I come to that one of discipline. It's a very important question. They are important questions. So number one, amesema ya kwamba, how do you deal with that teenager, young adult who is very argumentative? You know, there are people who are, vile ume describe, it appears like somebody who is defensive. They are always ready to defend themselves. Sometimes people can be defensive because they have been criticized as children, maybe at home, maybe at school. They felt criticized. So they are always ready to defend themselves because of being criticized, or there could be whatever. But most of the time, naona because of criticism, they are ready to defend themselves. Kuna kakitu ndani yake inamfanya asikie kujidefend. So what you do not engage. Because if you engage in that kind of discussion, that kind of debate, you will not win. So what you do as a parent, we mwambie, just pass the information umwambie. For example, if you are telling them, like, let's say amekuja late, and you know when they are coming late, ukimuuliza, mimi sikuja late, hata nilitoka I didn't even go a long time. You just say, I have noticed that you have come in at 8 p.m. And you know, as a family, the time we need to come home is 7. Nataka tu ufikirie whether what you're doing is the right thing. Anaanza kujidefend, don't argue. Just let them. If there are consequences that are experienced because of somebody kukuja hiyo time, mupatie hiyo consequence na usiargue. Don't argue. Because that one, if you argue, it will go round. Na itashinda, you will not know who is the parent and who is the child. You have to be the parent, you have to be the bigger person. Inamaanisha kama ni ana argue ndiyo, lakini kama ni consequence, ana experience hiyo consequence. So don't continue arguing with her. Just say once, alafu mwache. Sometimes they can grow older, especially akienda in a different environment, it can end, inaizaisha. Because unajua many times mtu ana argue because kuna vile watu wanamuengage. So that is when there's an opportunity to argue. But akipata watu wanakaa tu kando, you don't continue arguing. That's an adult already. You don't have to continue arguing. Yeah, but you can also tell them that I noticed that you are always trying to defend yourself. I think you need help. Do you need to talk to somebody? Unamsuggestia tu hivyo. Because I know some have come to talk to me, they have said, watu wameniambia niko very defensive, nimeona tu niongee na mtu. You know, later they go thinking about it. So you just tell them, hey, the way I'm seeing you defending yourself so much, I think you need help. There is something making you defend yourself. Then the other part you've said is, about a family member who drinks. It can be a husband, it can be a child. Let me tell you, every irresponsible behavior has an enabler. Somebody is able to drink or act in a certain way because anajua hakuna consequence. Because swali nitauliza many questions, but I know most of the time when you are living with somebody who drinks, you need counseling. Ujue vile utamuhandle. It's a long process, but I'm summarizing. Number one, I usually ask, anatoa pesa wapi kama hakunywi pombe? Utasema marafiki wanamnunulia. Now, akikunywa akilewa, ni anajileta kwa nyumba? Anatoa chakula wapi anakula? Good. So akikuja pengine anapata leftovers, anakula. Now this is the point. When you are dealing with somebody who is alcoholic, hiyo ni kama disease tuseme, you talk to them first, of course the day they are sober. But as much as possible, do not enable in any way. Meaning, you don't give money to such a person. Kama kuna consequence yeyote ame experience, and I know people will think it's mean, but akianguka kwa mtaro, you don't pick them. You don't pick them. Oh yeah, I know. My mother used to drink and we used to pick her from the mtaro. You don't pick them from the mtaro. You leave them in the mtaro. Paka anaamuka anajipata. I know you will say that maybe they may die. You're not God. You're not the one holding somebody's life. You don't know when somebody will die. You don't pick them from mtaro. If for example ameshikwa amepelekwa ndani because of drinking, ama amekunywa pombe ya mtu ameshindwa kulipa ameshikwa, you don't go to remove them from there. It's okay, let the mother do, but for you, you will not do. The mother will not be there forever. So you don't go to pick them. David Ogot's son, mwenye anaitwa David Ogot, the son to Grace Ogot, is a recovering alcoholic. Alitufunza kitu kwa church yangu kitambo. He said the reason why he continued drinking for very long, alikuwa anakunywa pombe kwa bar, akilewa kabisa anaita bibi yake. Ana plead, anamwambia please I've stopped, just come. The wife goes. She pays the bill. As she's paying the bill, anamuacha pale. Anatoroka anaenda kwa bar ingine. Anampigia simu tena after some time. The whole night anashinda akimzungusha. The wife akilipa, anamuacha anatoroka. Akienda nyumbani, when he used to eat school fees, akienda nyumbani baba akianza kumchapa, mama anaingia katikati. The dad is a professor. I think he's still alive. The mom was an MP at some point, Grace Ogot and Bethwell. He said, baba akikasirika akimwambia, I sent you to India, you used all the school fees. He takes a kiboko akianza kumbonga, mama anasimama katikati. Namwambia, there is no way you're going to hit my son. Because baba hawezi chapa mama, anamuacha. So he told us, he said, were it not for my wife and my mother, I could have stopped drinking a long time. But my wife and my mother, they kept on enabling me. Nikikuja nikitapika, bibi anapangusa. Nikikuja late na muamusha ananipikia nakula. So he knows that there are no consequences. So he continued doing that. Later he said, by the time aliacha kunywa pombe, kijana yake alikuwa ashaingia pombe. Because kijana knew that men drink. The daughter was in a relationship with somebody who was taking heroin. Because the daughter saw the mom akivumilia na huyo mtu na yeye akakaa hapo. Because what happens, your children are learning from you. The girls are likely to get people like that, or they don't. The sons become like that, or they will not. Or they may go completely the other side because wamechukia. So it's important for you to be helped so that you don't enable. Because sometimes we think we are doing things out of love, but we end up enabling people. So they find it easier for them to do it. And I can see, like in your case, your husband has many enablers. Especially akiwa ni mama, I can tell you people stay in addiction because there's an enabler. Kama hakuna enabler, it will be very hard for them to sustain that habit. Let me talk about the one for discipline. How you discipline children. From a very early age, children understand. Hata mtoto akiwa 8 months, anajua wakati ameuma mama, akinyonya. So mama akimpea stand look, ata stop. So they understand. By the time a child is about 15 months, they can be spanked. Especially kama umemwambia kitu na hataki kusikiza. You know, you tell them something and they resist. Ama unamwambia it's dangerous to go there to the road anakimbia. Ama akidanganya, ama akiiba. You know, those are value issues. uchapi mtoto atijua amevunja glass ama amemwaga maziwa, but umemwambia kitu amedanganya, ameiba, amegonga mwenzake ama ameruka kwa barabara. You can take the child, you can spank them so that they feel pain and know that they should not continue with that habit. But you don't slap your child na mkono. Your hand is meant to be for love. Don't slap them kwa, maybe kwa cheeks, kwa wapi, because you can harm the child. Take a neutral object like a cane, chapa them, kama ni kwa miguu ama ni kwa bat, a place where you cannot cause permanent injury to them. Let them feel pain. Now, talk to them first. Usimpate alafu randomly unaanza kumchapa. Tell them, I'm very disappointed. You have not, for example, you have lied. You have hit your brother. Because I'm disappointed, I'm going to give you, 2 or 3 strokes. After umemchapa, hug that child. Tell your child that I love you. By the way, I used to do that. I even used to pray with my child. Na waliniambia the most painful thing was when I used to pray with them. Namhug, namwambia, I still love you. And I'm going to pray. I pray for myself, I pray for them. Because you need to remind them that even when you did this, si ati ni juu ulimchukia. So number 1, 0 to 7 years, you can spank. Try not to spank a child above 8 years, because you make them to have what we call toxic shame. At that age, kama umeset a good foundation, you can withdraw privileges. For example, they can do something and you can tell them, you are not going to have your screen time today. Because you did this, you're not going to watch your TV today. You withdraw, for example, privileges. For some children, you can reward them. Some children, not necessarily with money, but even rewarding them, giving them extra time to play in our motivate. But you can withdraw privileges. So we said 0 to 7, you can spank. As they get to 8, 10, 11, teenagers, they can understand you need to withdraw privileges. Then you can also let them face natural consequences. Natural consequences are like this. They did not eat breakfast in the morning. Na munaenda kanisa, usimbebe chakula. Let them feel hungry. Akikukujia break time, akisema niko na njaa, usimpigie makelele. Tell them, that must be very hard. If I did not take breakfast, I would also be very hungry. Unfortunately, the next meal itakuwa lunch, kunywa maji. That will be the last time that child will miss breakfast. Because anajua, akimisa ataka mpaka lunch. The problem, some of us parents, mtoto anakataa kukula, unambebea snack. So don't let them feel hungry. Those are natural consequences. They have not eaten, they are hungry. They have squandered their pocket money, let them stay without it. Because that's what happens. You squander your money, you stay without. Natural consequences. You can also apply logical consequences. Logical consequences are like this. When you play, you are meant to put your toys in the basket. Just an example. Or you remove your clothes, you put your clothes in the laundry basket. Unapata mtoto hajapeleka nguo zake kwa laundry basket. Unamwambia apeleke mara 20. Pick that nguo, go put it. Remove it, walk upstairs, go put it. Remove it, go put it. You know what you are doing, you are making them realize you refuse to put it once. Sisemi mwambie mtoto aoshe muti na sabuni. That is not related. There are people who tell a child, osha muti na sabuni. No. Make them to keep on do it. You told them to clean the table. And they can clean the table. But amekata. Tell them, because you did not clean the table today, you're going to clean the table the whole week. Ni wewe utapangusa meza the whole week because you did not clean the table once. You see, it's logical. It's related. I used to tell my son, ukienda kucheza nje, you need to come at 6:30 in the evening. So, ukichelewa for 30 minutes, tomorrow we cut your 30 minutes. He loves to play. So, akaenda akacheza up to 7. I said, no problem. You have already mortgaged your 30 minutes. Tomorrow, you will play up to 6. Kutoka hiyo siku, alikuwa anashinda anakuja anauliza, auntie, ni sangapi kwa gate? But then he got a watch. I was teaching him that you need to be disciplined. So those are logical consequences. Logic. We agreed you play for 2 hours, you played for 3 hours, you've already eaten your 1 hour for tomorrow. So you will note, you see? So again, let me say this. Get to understand your child. There are children who can be spanked. There's one of my children I've rarely spanked. Because you just give him a look, anaanza kulia. Sema mami sitafanya hivyo tena. Mwingine you give him a look, they give you another one. Unamwangalia na yeye anakuangalia. Huyo nilikuwa na chapa. Because namwangalia ananishikia hivi ananiangalia. Mwingine nikimwangalia anasema mama I'm sorry. So children are not the same. You don't apply the same rule for everybody. Let me say this finally. On the part of spanking, because I know it's very controversial, there are younger parents who believe that spanking is child abuse. You don't spank a child when you're angry. Because when you spank a child and you're angry, you are unleashing your anger on the child. Calm down so that by the time you're disciplining them, it's not about your anger. When I stopped disciplining in anger, I've never had to spank my child. So what did I learn? I learned that all along, I was actually unleashing my anger on the children. Honestly, I stopped. I just said, I'm going to calm down. Then we sit down, we talk about it. Essence of your child, because it comes back to bite you. So you may have a different opinion, go and sort it later. And don't plant ideas on the child that you're being abused or something like that. I said unless the child is being abused, but if the child is being disciplined by the other parent and you don't agree, and the child is maybe reporting to you, you can tell them, okay, is that what happened? We can talk to daddy about it, or to mommy. Let me talk to mommy about that. So because if you form an alliance with your child, it comes back to bite you. You become an ally. Now you become team me and the child, and then the mother or the father. Because any child who doesn't have a healthy relationship with their father, they are going to struggle. They are going to struggle the way they relate with authority. They are going to struggle in their own relationships. So at the end of the day, unajichimbia kaburi. You are scoring your own goal at the end of the day. And because I know all of us want the best for our children, we need to try and manage even our differences for the sake of our children. Yeah, thank you. I hope you have learned something. So I think we have come to the end of our session this evening. Yeah, we are on time. So perhaps I can pray, then I hand over. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for your faithfulness. We prayed at the end of this, you've helped us, we have learned a lot. We pray that even in areas that we have gone wrong previously, please forgive us, restore unto us the years and the months and the days which the locusts have eaten. I want to pray that our families may be blessed, that our families may thrive. I pray for each and every person who has spared their time to be here.
Get the point. Take a step forward.